Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract the kind of clients, customers, or patrons that others spend years chasing? And what if I tell you that the secret isn't in endless marketing strategies or cold calls, but in the simple, profound use of your imagination, as Neville Goddard taught? Because when you dare to see yourself already living in the reality where your dream clients seek you out, you set into motion invisible forces that bring them directly to you. And in that moment, you stop trying to convince the world of your worth because your assumption already makes it true. So instead of dwelling on lack or wondering why no one notices your services, you begin to embody the feeling of being highly sought after. And this feeling changes everything, because clients can sense your inner certainty even before you open your mouth. And the magnetic energy of belief draws those who are meant for you in the same way a lighthouse calls ships safely to shore. And as you practice this, you'll find yourself no longer desperate for attention, but radiating a calm authority that makes people feel secure in choosing you. And the shift is subtle yet powerful, because the outer world has no choice but to reflect the inner conviction you've assumed. And just as Neville said, imagination creates reality. So the client you dream of is already yours the moment you claim them in your inner world. And with every repetition of that assumption, the bridge of incidents begins to unfold, perhaps through a chance meeting, a recommendation, or a message out of the blue. And it won't feel forced but natural, as if life always intended it this way. And the beauty of it all is that you won't need to compete or hustle for validation, because your faith in the unseen does the heavy lifting. And as this truth sinks in, you start to recognize how every past struggle was merely an invitation to finally believe. And soon you'll notice that the clients who arrive are not just transactions, but aligned souls who value you deeply. And the joy you feel in serving them multiplies, because it is the joy of creation made visible. And in that joy you begin to understand that what you once thought was impossible is actually inevitable when you persist in assumption. And so the story of attracting your dream client is not a tale of chance, but a demonstration of your inner power. Which means, as you step into this awareness, you are ready to explore how living in the end transforms every interaction into a magnet for the right people who are already on their way to you. When you step into the art of living in the end, you stop waiting for proof that your dream clients are coming, and instead you begin to carry yourself as the person who already has them. Because in Neville Goddard's words, you occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. And this means no more wondering if it will work out, but simply knowing that it already has. And when you feel that certainty, your energy changes in ways you cannot fake, because every word you speak and every action you take now carries the authority of someone who knows their place in the market. And this is the difference between chasing clients and naturally drawing them in. For people sense when you are needy, but they also sense when you are complete and confident. And that confidence doesn't come from external numbers or accolades, but from the inner vision you faithfully persist in. So when you live in the end, you might visualize yourself reading a thank you note from a satisfied customer, or imagine a busy day full of fulfilling interactions. And you do this not to escape reality, but to shape it, because the imagination is not idle fantasy, but the creative act itself. And when you allow yourself to dwell in that state long enough, the outer world rearranges to match it, often through paths you could never predict. And suddenly opportunities you once thought were random now look like divine alignment. And as this becomes a pattern, you realize that persistence is the real currency of manifestation. For even when doubts arise, you gently return to the vision of already being chosen. And each time you do this, you strengthen the reality of that state until it feels more real than your current circumstances. And once that shift happens, the bridge of incidents unfolds naturally, leading you to people, places, and moments that confirm your assumption. And the beauty is that by living in the end, you not only attract your dream client, but you also become the dream provider they have been seeking. And this relationship is born not out of effort or manipulation, but out of alignment, which makes every connection smoother and more fulfilling. And as you settle into this way of being, you begin to wonder what other areas of your business and life could be transformed if you dared to live in the end. The law of assumption in business success is not about hoping something might one day happen, but about stepping boldly into the reality where it already has. Because when Neville Goddard spoke of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, he was pointing to a truth that transcends logic. And when you apply this to attracting your dream client, you stop rehearsing fear and doubt and instead assume that they are already yours, which changes the way you walk into a room. Answer an email or share your message with the world, for the assumption creates an inner atmosphere that others can feel even without words. And suddenly the burden of convincing or persuading disappears, because you no longer identify with lack, but with abundance. And the law of assumption works because consciousness is the only reality, and the outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting your inner state. So, if you persist in assuming that clients are scarce, then life will show you scarcity. But if you persist in assuming that your ideal clients eagerly seek you out, then that becomes the reality you meet. And this is not about blind optimism, but about disciplined imagination, where each day you deliberately occupy the state that corresponds with your desire. And as you do this consistently, the impossible begins to look inevitable. And soon you notice that phone calls, referrals, and opportunities appear as though summoned by unseen hands. Yet they are not accidents, but the outpicturing of your assumption. And while the world might say you need more advertising or better timing, you know that the true cause lies within. And so instead of chasing endless tactics, you become a master of state, always returning to the inner conviction that what you desire is already done. And this makes business less of a struggle and more of a joyful unfolding, because each encounter becomes proof of your creative power. And as you witness this law at work, your faith grows stronger, which makes you even more magnetic. And in this realization, you see that attracting your dream client is not about force, but about aligning with the unseen law that governs all manifestation. And once you grasp this truth, you cannot go back to the old way of chasing, because you've discovered that everything you seek has always been within your reach, the moment you dare to assume it. Feeling it real is the heart of Neville Goddard's teachings. And when you apply it to attracting your dream client, it becomes the invisible magnet that draws them closer without effort, because feeling is the secret. And once you allow yourself to inwardly experience the joy of already serving your ideal customer, the outer world cannot help but mirror that inner sensation. And this is more than visualizing or thinking about it, because it requires you to step into the emotional atmosphere of the fulfilled desire, as if the deal has already been signed, the testimonial already written, and the gratitude already expressed. And when you sit quietly and breathe into that scene, you are no longer waiting for success, but embodying it, which makes the idea of lack dissolve. And this shift creates an aura that others unconsciously recognize. For people are naturally drawn to those who radiate certainty and satisfaction. And the act of feeling it real is what transforms wishful thinking into creative power, because your subconscious accepts feeling as fact. So when you rehearse the inner experience of receiving praise from your dream client, your mind registers it as already accomplished. And this belief seeps into every tone of your voice, every choice of words, and every action you take, creating a harmony that feels irresistible to the very clients you wish to attract. And they are not drawn because of tricks or manipulation, but because you have become the embodiment of the outcome they desire. So the transaction becomes more than business, it becomes resonance. And in that resonance, trust is born, and with trust comes loyalty and joy. And the cycle repeats, because the more you feel it real, the more evidence appears to validate it, which strengthens your faith until doubt has no place to stand. And as you continue to live this way, you realize that the power was never outside in ads, strategies, or luck, but always inside in the feelings you dared to inhabit. And so each new client who arrives is not a surprise, but a confirmation of what you have already experienced within. And this makes business not only successful, but deeply fulfilling, because it is creation experienced in real time. And once you understand this secret, you are ready to go even deeper into the practice of revision, where even past failures can be reshaped into stepping stones that attract even more aligned clients. Revision is one of Neville Goddard's most liberating practices because it allows you to take what once felt like a failure, a rejection, or a missed opportunity and rewrite it in your imagination so that it becomes the very fuel for attracting your dream clients. And when you understand that the past is not fixed, but malleable in consciousness, you begin to see that every no from a potential customer was not a dead end, but an invitation to revise the scene into a yes. For in the realm of imagination, you can relive the moment of that conversation, alter the response, and feel the satisfaction of a positive outcome. And because your subconscious does not distinguish between actual memory and imagined memory, it accepts the revised scene as truth, which means your state changes, your assumptions shift, and your energy aligns with success rather than disappointment. So instead of carrying the weight of past mistakes into your present, you cleanse them and replace them with victories. And this inner rewriting creates a new story that clients instinctively sense, because you no longer radiate the desperation of someone wounded by rejection, but the confidence of someone who has always been chosen. And over time, you begin to notice how the very people who once seemed uninterested reappear in your life with a different tone, as if responding to the version of you that has already been transformed. And this practice is not about denial, but about reclaiming your creative power. For why should a negative past dictate your future when imagination can overwrite it? And once you use revision consistently, you stop fearing mistakes because you know they can be reshaped. And this freedom makes you bolder, more authentic, and more attractive to your ideal clients. For they can feel the ease in your presence, the absence of baggage, and the freshness of your energy. And in this way, revision does not just heal but empowers. And with each revised scene, you weave a tapestry of success that becomes your lived reality. So even setbacks become stepping stones, and the story you tell yourself about who you are in business becomes unshakable. And this new self-story ensures that the clients you attract are aligned not with your wounds, but with your victories, making every relationship richer and more rewarding. And as this unfolds, you begin to understand that your true power lies not in the marketplace, but in the imagination that shapes it, which naturally leads to the deeper realization of the role identity, the great I am, plays in determining who and what you attract. I am is the cornerstone of Neville Goddard's teachings, and when it comes to attracting your dream client, it is the foundation upon which everything else rests. Because whatever follows the words I am becomes the reality you assume. And if you quietly or unconsciously say I am struggling, I am unnoticed, or I am unworthy, then life mirrors those declarations with clients who reflect that belief. But when you boldly affirm, I am valuable, I am chosen, I am exactly what my dream client is looking for, you begin to embody the very identity that magnetizes those people into your experience. For clients do not buy products or services alone. They buy the energy of certainty and identity that surrounds the one offering them, and your I am shapes that aura. So when you walk into a room or even post a simple message online, the unseen power of your identity speaks louder than the words themselves. And the subconscious of your dream client resonates with the confidence you embody because it recognizes safety, authority, and alignment, which means the relationship begins even before the first transaction. And the beauty of this is that you do not need to fight for attention when you fully embody the right I am, because those who are meant for you feel drawn to you without explanation, as though something in them has found what it was always searching for. And the shift becomes visible when doors open where none existed, and opportunities arrive that seem impossibly timed. Yet you know they are not coincidences, but echoes of the I am you have claimed. And the more you declare and feel this identity, the stronger your magnet becomes, pulling in not just clients, but partnerships, referrals, and prosperity that match your state. And suddenly you realize that the old identity of struggle was the only barrier you ever had, and that dropping it in it is as simple as choosing a new self-concept and persisting in it. For I am is not wishful thinking, but the seed of creation itself. And in this seed lies every outcome you could ever desire. And so the journey of attracting your dream client is less about chasing and more about declaring with authority who you are. Because the world cannot help but conform to the identity you refuse to let go of. And when you live from this truth, you discover that success is not something you achieve, but something you already are, which leads you naturally into the practice of persistence, until your assumption hardens into undeniable fact. Persistence is the quiet force that turns a fragile assumption into a hardened fact. And when Neville Goddard spoke of persisting until it hardens into reality, he revealed the golden thread that connects imagination to manifestation. For without persistence, even the most beautiful vision of your dream client will dissolve under the weight of doubt. And in business, this persistence is not about endless grinding or exhausting effort, but about continually returning to the inner state where your desire is already fulfilled. Because the outer world will often tempt you with appearances of delay or lack. Yet if you refuse to abandon your assumption, the outer must eventually yield. And this is where so many give up, mistaking temporary resistance for permanent failure. But the few who persist discover that life bends to their inner certainty. And as you practice this, you may notice days when nothing seems to change, clients seem absent, or conversations fall flat. But if you return inward and reoccupy the state of being the one already chosen, those appearances lose their power, and soon they begin to shift in your favor. Sometimes so gradually you only notice in hindsight, and at other times so suddenly it feels miraculous. Yet both are the natural outpicturing of persistence. And this persistence is not about straining to believe, but about gently assuming again and again, much like watering a seed until the plant emerges. For you do not dig up the soil every day to check if it is working. You trust the unseen growth. And in the same way, you trust that every act of persistence is building unseen bridges to your dream client. Bridges that will bring them to you in ways you could never plan. And as you witness the fruit of this practice, your confidence grows until persistence becomes second nature. And what once felt like discipline now feels like joy. Because each return to the state of fulfillment strengthens the magnetic field that draws your ideal customers to you, and they arrive with a sense of inevitability, as though they were always destined to find you. Which makes you realize that persistence is not a chore, but the act of holding the door open until the guests you invited finally walk in. And once you grasp this, you see that the only true obstacle was ever your willingness to persist. And with that lesson sealed in your heart, you are ready to explore the liberation that comes when you drop the old story of struggle and fully embrace ease as the new foundation of your client attraction. Dropping the old story of struggle and embracing ease is a transformative step because it shifts the entire experience of attracting your dream client from tension to flow. For too long, most people operate under the illusion that effort, stress, and constant pushing are required to win attention. Yet Neville Goddard's teaching reminds us that resistance only strengthens the walls between you and the clients you desire. And when you release the narrative of hardship, you open yourself to a natural rhythm where opportunities arrive without forcing. And this does not mean passivity, but a conscious alignment with the feeling of ease, as if success is already unfolding effortlessly around you. And in that state, you begin to notice subtle signs, casual encounters, and seemingly minor details that are actually pivotal moments, leading your dream clients directly to you. Because the universe responds not to frantic striving, but to the calm assurance that your desire is already real. And as you embody ease, your energy becomes lighter, more approachable, and more magnetic. And clients pick up on this without needing to analyze it, feeling drawn to your authenticity and inner certainty. And what once required manipulation or persuasion now happens naturally because you are operating from alignment rather than desperation. And the beauty of ease is that it allows for joy in every interaction, where even minor conversations feel meaningful, and every engagement carries the signature of abundance. And as this pattern becomes habitual, you notice doors opening that previously seemed locked, and resistance from the past loses its grip, replaced by a fluidity that makes client attraction feel like a natural extension of who you are. And you begin to trust the unseen, seeing that everything arrives at the right time, through the right people and in the right way. And this trust deepens because you no longer cling to outcomes, but instead immerse yourself in the certainty of your assumed state. And the story of struggle transforms into a story of graceful creation, where each moment is an opportunity to live in alignment with your dream client. And once you experience this liberation fully, you naturally move into the practice of a mental diet, carefully guarding every thought about your business and the clients you wish to attract. Mental diet is one of the most powerful yet overlooked tools in Neville Goddard's teachings, because every thought you allow to occupy your mind either aligns you with the clients you desire or pushes them further away. And in business, it is easy to become distracted by worries about competition, fear of rejection, or doubts about whether anyone will ever recognize your value. Yet each of these thoughts, if indulged, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the practice of mental diet requires vigilance, discipline, and gentle awareness. For it is not about suppressing thoughts, but about deliberately choosing which ones you entertain. And when you consistently feed your mind with images, affirmations, and feelings of already having your dream clients, your subconscious aligns with that reality. And this alignment shapes every decision, every interaction, and every strategy in a way that is effortless, yet profoundly effective. And over time, you notice that opportunities begin to present themselves naturally, as if the right clients have been waiting for you all along, drawn not by chance, but by the resonance of your inner state. And when you slip into old thought patterns, it becomes immediately evident how quickly energy and potential can be lost, prompting you to return with renewed focus to the deliberate cultivation of positive, fruitful mental imagery. And this is the subtle yet transformative difference between ordinary effort and inspired manifestation. And as you master this practice, you realize that guarding your mind is as crucial as any business tactic, because the unseen world responds to the dominant state of consciousness you maintain. And by protecting your mental diet, you create a fertile environment where only aligned clients can flourish and find you. And the choices you make, the words you speak, and the actions you take all begin to radiate the certainty and confidence that attract ideal customers. And eventually, maintaining this mental discipline becomes second nature, producing results that feel almost magical, yet they are simply the inevitable reflection of your inner state. And as you cultivate this awareness, you discover the power of inner conversations, the subtle yet profound dialogue that shapes reality before it manifests. The art of inner conversations with your dream clients is a subtle but profoundly effective practice, because it allows you to engage with them on an imaginative plane long before any physical interaction occurs. And when you consistently speak to them inwardly, as if they are already receptive, appreciative, and aligned with your offerings, you establish a psychic rapport that guides external events toward fulfillment. And this does not require fantasy or idle daydreaming, but deliberate mental engagement, where you imagine emails being opened with gratitude, meetings flowing effortlessly, and conversations ending in mutual enthusiasm and satisfaction. And as you inhabit these imagined dialogues, you begin to feel the reality of connection, which signals to your subconscious that this state is true. And when your inner mind accepts it as real, your outer world follows naturally, often through circumstances and encounters you could not have predicted. And the beauty of inner conversations is that they allow you to rehearse success, iron out hesitation, and deepen confidence, so that when the real client arrives, you communicate with clarity, ease, and resonance. And this makes your offer feel irresistible, not because of clever persuasion, but because you embody the outcome in advance. And over time, these inner dialogues cultivate a sense of certainty, presence, and alignment that radiates outward, making every action and word consistent with the state you wish to manifest. And the more vivid and emotionally charged these conversations, the stronger the magnetic pull, drawing the right clients as if they are responding to a frequency only you can transmit. And by practicing this daily, you train your mind to anticipate success rather than fear failure. And you begin to notice subtle shifts in how opportunities present themselves, with unexpected referrals, timely messages, or chance encounters, all contributing to the unfolding reality you have imagined. And this is why Neville emphasized the careful shaping of inner dialogue, for it molds the external world without visible effort. And as you master this art, you discover that attraction is no longer about chasing, but about inhabiting a state where your dream clients naturally converge with you. And once you see this principle in action, the next step becomes clear. To harness belief in your value, so that your dream clients are drawn not only to your offerings, but to the confidence, competence,